So I'm not gonna be logging in
Okay,
on Zoom. I don't have anything to share screen or anything.
okay. Well, good note, if anyone wants to sign in that's inside this room, about the computers, just make sure that they're muted. Cause it's gonna start making static all around us. Okay. Okay, so. Sorry.
Hey, Rodrigo. No, I don't think they actually started it. Did you guys start it? Rodrigo's
Yeah,
on. Okay. They just started it.
he's being promoted now.
Oh, really? No, we can't.
Oh.
Yeah, join as
Join as
panelists. Yeah, yeah. You want to join as a panelist? Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah.
If you see any.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Diana.
Oh, you're not. Only up.
Rodrigo, can you hear us? Oops. Rodrigo, can you hear us? No. Something's wrong with the
Oh,
mic.
Billy. Billy's coming in.
Oh, good.
Can you read me okay?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Billy.
Can you hear us, Billy?
Can you hear us?
Sure can, loud and clear.
Diana, can you hear us? I don't think Diana can.
Diana and Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. I can email them.
Wonder if they have to try again. Do they need to try again?
Yeah.
Andy. Diana, can you hear us? Or Andy? Oh, you can?
Yep.
Andy, good. Rodrigo? Okay.
Oh, I can't press undo.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. At the start, but
Yep.
is Julie?
She never replied.
Oh, okay. Shall I go for it? Oh, wait, we have to wait for Jesse and
And Gary.
Gary, yeah.
Or Gary. Yeah. Let me text them.
We're waiting for Jesse or Gary to join us.
Okay.
Honey.
Hey, Bonnie.
Happy New Year. Or how only Maunakea.
Forever since I've been to one of these meetings.
Billy's joined us.
I know.
I guess we do need to wait for our attorney, one of our attorneys. to join.
I know we need them if we're gonna go into executive session.
Yeah.
They still haven't got back to us.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Jesse said he's gonna be late.
Oh,
I don't know about Gary though, he hasn't replied yet.
Billy, good to see you.
Good to be seen. Thank you.
You too, Pat.
Yes.
You want me to step out?
No,
No.
you don't need to.
Okay. Computer.
I'm just gonna make a note. I'm not saying.
Yeah. So you never heard from Julie, right?
She said no on top of the calendar, but besides that,
Okay,
Oh,
so we don't have to wait.
but.
But what
Diana
about Gary?
Also said no.
who did?
Diana also said no, so.
Oh,
Never know.
I can send her a quick email.
Gary is down as a yes.
I just texted him and he hasn't replied yet. You know, I think we can start.
Yeah.
I think we can start and then, it's only when we go into executive session that we absolutely.
need him.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you-
All right.
You folks are recording the, right?
All right, it is now 5:04 and I will call the meeting to order. I will start with first asking if those attending by Zoom have someone else with them. And I've noted Pat Bergen is with Dr. Billy Bergen. Anyone else? Raise your hand. Seeing no hands raised, please make a note of Pat's attendance as well. I will now move to public comments. There were no comments submitted, verbal or written. And so we can now move on to the approval of the minutes of the November 12th, 2024 meeting.
So, Chair, prior to the meeting, I had a request from General Counsel, there's Gary, Jesse Suki, that we amend the minutes of November 12th, to more properly reflect, OGC's role, on the, asset transfer working group that is mentioned discussed in the minutes. The specific amendment would be, pull this up quick. Under item C, Maunakea Stewardship and Oversight Authority, the third paragraph, second sentence, it says, the working group includes E.D. Chun, the Huagios, Board of Regent member Michael Miyahara, and Office of General Counsel OGC Attorney Jesse Suki to represent the university. The amendment would be after Nahua Gios, to add the word comma, add the word and Board of Regent, BOR member Michael Miyahara, period. And then to add the statement, Office of General Counsel, OGC Attorney, Jesse Suki advises and counsels UH clients on the working group. He wanted to make it clear that he's not there representing the university per se, that's our role, management's role, but he is there advising us.
So noted. I also have another change, correction. It's Michael Miyahara, Hira. So both on the boardman, the agenda and the minutes, if you could correct that.
And
So I move to make amendments.
Nope.
Diana?
one moment, my name is misspelled. If we're gonna correct it, we probably should. Where members excused, the D is capitalized and then there's only one R at the end of Endicott.
Thank you, Diana.
Small matter, but if we're gonna make it correct.
Yeah, very, very good. We want all the names properly spelled. Any other changes? If not, great.
So I move to accept the minutes as amended, reflected in our notes here.
Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Billy.
you, Billy. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous approval of the corrected minutes. Moving on to Kahuku report.
Okay. And as I've been doing in the past, I'll combine it with my executive director's report, but I do have quite a bit to cover this evening, so I think it might be useful, Chair, if I stop at certain points and ask if there's questions
Okay.
after certain topics.
Thank you.
Kahuku report. At his request, the Canada-France-Hawaii Telescope Executive Director, Jean-Gabriel Kubi, asked to meet with Kahuku at their December 5th meeting. The purpose of his request was to update Kahuku on Canada-France-Hawaii Telescope's ongoing outreach and community engagement activities, as well as his desire to have his staff become more aware of and engaged with stewardship activities on the Mauna in general. This is something that John Gabriel has been advocating for with his staff at Canada France, and he's been doing a number of things to get his staff more involved in the community in general. John Gabriel offered to have his employees become more involved with our community service days. As you know, every couple of months we have community service days where the volunteers come up and help us with various stewardship activities. But we would also like them to gain more exposure to the cultural significance associated with the natural and cultural resources on the Mauna. CMS Outreach Coordinator Kaleo Pilago did provide some cultural training to the CFHT board at their December meeting. And he will work with Jean Gabriel, Executive Director Jean Gabriel, on coordinating other opportunities to engage with KKM and others to build his staff's cultural awareness. We were really pleased that John Gabriel reached out to Kahuku and asked for their help with this effort that he's initiated with his staff. And we think that that's another bridge and another thing that we can do to support the observatories in understanding the significance of Mauna Kea and the importance of why it's important that we act a certain way when we are there. As reported at our last Maunakea Management Board meeting, Kahuku and CMS have been working on developing a process and protocol for returning archaeological artifacts collected during our archaeological inventory survey back in 2009 that are no longer needed for study or our educational programs. We solicited a proposal from a consultant to help us determine the scope of work that would be needed to help us with this. And we're now working on an RFP to procure the professional assistance we need with this project. One thing that became real clear in talking to the consultant that we initially approached is that the project will require significant outreach and consultation with various groups, in particular identified lineal descendants, to ensure proper protocols are developed and followed. In the meantime, we have moved the artifacts to Halepohaku, where they are securely stored, and have made them available for inspection or viewing by MK and others who want to learn more about how Hawaiians traditionally engaged with the Mauna. Most of the artifacts we have are from the ads work that has been done, the extensive ads work that was done by our kupuna on the Mauna. And the last thing for Kahuku is related to MK as well. recognizing the need MKSOA has to establish various advisory groups, especially as they begin work on their management plan. MKSOA has expressed an interest and approached Kahukumana on becoming their cultural advisory group in the future. This is a very preliminary conversation with numerous questions as to what this actually means and how this would work. Kahukumana has not voiced an opinion on their interest or willingness to step into that role. They want to discuss it more with UH and with MKSOA, and they want to proceed cautiously. So I anticipate there are going to be several more internal discussions with Kahukumana and MKSOA management on this topic, that this will be a priority item for our agendas for the next several months. I do think it is a good thing that MKSOA is recognizing the role that Kahukumana plays and can play. But I think some of the issues around who is Kahukumana advising in their role, particularly if UH is still functioning as a joint management member, are some of the kinds of questions that they have, that we have, that will need to be worked out. So that concludes my Kahukumana update for tonight's meeting. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions on any of that stuff. Okay, if there are none, then I'll move into my executive director's report.
Yes.
Okay. I have a couple of operations updates, and then I do want to give an update on transition work with MKSOA. The first operational update is really since Thanksgiving, and we knew that this was going to happen. We have experienced a significant increase in visitor traffic in the evenings, people wanting to go up for sunset viewing. That has typically been the case over the holidays, but this year it seemed to have started a little earlier, and the number of vehicles and visitors has been in many evenings more than we can handle. On some evenings, there have been as many as 80 to 90 vehicles, some evenings over 100 vehicles ascending to the summit to watch the sunset. Managing traffic and ensuring the safety of everybody is now creating some staffing challenges, because it's now requiring that there be 2 rangers at the summit during sunset viewing hours. And then we've also had to open additional parking down below the visitor information station to accommodate people who get there late and they're in a long line, and then it's too late for them to go up for sunset, so they're going to stay down at the Viz. So we've had to have additional parking made available, and now we have to staff that parking lot as well. So this is putting a strain on our staffing, as additional bodies are needed to manage the volume effectively. We are evaluating management options with the likely solution, I want to say likely, being to establish a limit on the maximum number of vehicles allowed to ascend during sunset viewing hours. As of now, we don't anticipate that this would impact snow days, which I know are really, really important to our local residents. And before we implement any changes, however, we will need to plan and execute a wide-ranging public education campaign. We'll be working with our communications folks to develop that campaign. Obviously, we will keep you updated as we firm up our plans on this particular issue. Given that this is an important issue to many people, let me stop there and just see if there's any questions about this. Okay, no questions. Second operational update is the Caltech submillimeter observatory sublease termination, which you folks reviewed latter part of last year. The actual termination has now been pushed into 2025. As you folks know, because you reviewed it, the form of agreement has been agreed to and finalized. But there are some final reports from CSO's consultants that we are still waiting for before we are able to certify that they have met the conditions of their decommissioning plan, their sublease, and their conservation district use permit. So we will update the board when the termination is actually executed. And the final operational update that I have is just a note that our annual report to the legislature has now been officially submitted by the university along with the other annual reports UH is required to submit each year. The report covers various activities, including the status of the general and MKO subleases, our stewardship activities, TMT, and MKSOA transition. I've not yet been contacted by anyone at the ledge with questions, and I don't anticipate that we will be. But now that the report is final and has been submitted, I'll have Sarah and Courtney email a copy of the report to everyone now that it's public. I should note also that MKSOA has also submitted their report, so we'll send that along as well. And we can schedule at our next meeting in February an item to discuss any questions that you folks have about our reports. Any questions about the CSO sublease termination agreement or the annual legislative report?
I have a question.
Okay.
Great. So I'm assuming though that you reviewed both the MKSOA and you've written, right? CMS's report. Was there anything offhand that caught your eye?
Yes, and that's actually, I'm gonna
Oh, you're gonna go
cover it
into, oh,
in-
okay.
when I talk about it, but yes,
Okay.
there was something.
Yeah.
But just as a point of clarification, last year we assisted MKSOA with their annual report. This year, now that they have staff, they wrote their report, but we provided them much of the information that they needed to report, to write their report. Any other questions about our annual report? Okay, MKSOA transition. So as you recall, last year, MKSOA issued an RFP to procure consultant help with developing their management plan, which is required of them under Act 255. They received one submittal, which was reviewed by their screening committee last month. And they determined that the proposal they received did not meet their requirements. They are currently reevaluating how they are going to proceed with completing, getting the help they need to complete the management plan. Currently, I do not know how their timeline for completing their plan is being affected by this development. The RFP that they issued was requesting assistance with a number of things in addition to their management plan. And I think it was proved to be a large ask for any consultant to adequately address. So we're not sure what they're doing and how they're sort of regrouping and what they're gonna do to start that process. But at this point, they're still looking at their options, I'm assuming. I hope to find out more tomorrow when I meet with MKSOA management. The other thing, and this gets to your question earlier, Chair, that I wanted to report on is we've discussed and shared with you folks that MKSOA has, created this asset transfer working group that we are a part of, DLNR is a part of, and MKSOA is part of. That group was not meeting for about 4 or 5 months because they needed to hire a consultant to help them with that work. And just to refresh your memory, the charter of this group is to develop the plans for the transfer of assets and liabilities, including our leases and permits. So we are now meeting regularly now that they have hired their consultants, and I can see that the pace of the work will be picking up. We hosted on December 10th and 11th, we hosted some of the members of the working group for a site visit and overnight at Halepohaku. The purpose of that site visit was to provide their consultants the opportunity to physically see and inspect our real property and physical assets. Now, one of the outcomes of the visit which I think was a positive outcome, was that the consultants, as well as MKSOA's management staff, gained a deeper and closer understanding of how our operational responsibilities and requirements under our plans and rules, and et cetera, and how our assets and liabilities, including our permits and whatnot, and staff, how those things are linked. Because one of the things that we wanted to emphasize was that as we look at transferring assets and liabilities, there's certain things that MKSOA needs to have in place in order for that to make sense. Transferring assets must be considered in the context of them having their plans and their policies and their rules in place first. Because to transfer staff, for example, or a piece of equipment, when they don't have a plan for how what they're going to be doing on the mountain, means that our folks and our equipment would be used for, they wouldn't have the guidance that our current plans and policies provide. So I think that point became clear in the meeting or in the site visit, and how the importance of them completing their work on their management plan was highlighted immensely. Our next working group meeting is scheduled for next week, Friday, the 17th, January 17th. We spent most of our last meeting looking at the leases and the subleases and the permits. And we're supposed to look at the operating agreements UH has with the MKOs at next week's meeting. So the pace is picking up, that's good. But still a lot of work to do, and the plan for how things get transferred is still not clearly articulated. Now, as we've been going through the process with the working group, this gets to something that is in their annual report. MKSOA has been expressing a concern as to whether they should accept a transfer of the conservation district permits held by UH for the building and operation of the various facilities on Mauna Kea. These permits were issued and approved by DLNR for us to be able to build observatories, to build Halepohaku, to build the Summit Road, and other infrastructure that's been developed over the years. In their annual report to the legislature, MKSOA has now taken the actual position that they will not accept a transfer of the CDUPs, the Conservation District Use Permits. Their rationale is that this would compromise their position as the eventual regulator for the lands that we currently manage under our general lease. Because that would put them in the position of being both permitter and permittee. This rationale is, quite frankly, is understandable. We've dealt with that ourselves, given our situation, and how UH holds the permits for the observatories. But the implications of them not accepting a transfer are not fully understood at this point and still need to be evaluated. Just as an example, if UH no longer holds the property rights that come with our general lease because we transfer the general lease to MK SOA, and if UH no longer has jurisdiction for the subleases that were issued under the general lease, because those are likewise transferred to MK SOA, UH would not be able to oversee and enforce requirements of the land uses on that property, those properties that are permitted in the CDUPs, because we no longer have jurisdiction over the property. So all of this has come out in the last week or so. I will be meeting with, we have a regular joint management committee meeting with MK SOA management tomorrow, where this will be a topic on our agenda. We need to develop an action plan, work together to develop an action plan to, first of all, identify the issues that this position that they've taken raises, which itself may take some time just to identify the issues. I do anticipate that a path to the solution will require convening DLNR leadership, MK SOA leadership, and UH leadership to determine that path forward. And could also require further legislative action by MK SOA to amend Act 255. And then obviously all of that would need to be accounted for in the overall timeline for the transition to MK SOA, because this is just sort of another bunch of work that will need to be added to the mix. So we'll keep bringing this forward and keep you folks apprised. Again, this is a new development that just came up in the last week. Especially since you folks have been instrumental in recommending approval by UH of these permits when we brought these things before you. I have one more update on MK SOA transition to discuss, but let me stop there and see if there's any questions. Okay. Hearing none, the last thing I wanted to update you folks on was 30-meter telescope, but specifically some events in the last 5 days or so. For those who follow social media, you know that there's been some renewed activity concerning the TMT project. Mayor Alameda has stated his position on social media about being open to a process for considering TMT, provided the project be done correctly. Not exactly clear what being done correctly means, but his public statements have led to a resurgence of activity on various social media platforms and have included some personal affronts. We are aware of the situation, but I have not had a chance to speak with MK SOA management about the matter myself. MK SOA has a board meeting on Thursday where I anticipate there could be some discussion of this matter, I don't know, and possibly even public testimony, I don't know. But it has stirred up quite a hornet's nest. I bring this up to make you folks aware of the situation, but I also bring it up to emphasize that this is an MK SOA matter and that UH is not part of the decision-making at this point regarding the future of TMT. However, we do agree that what the mayor has done here by bringing TMT and putting it on the table. We do agree that TMT, along with various other issues, are really important topics that MKSOA needs to take up and settle on as soon as possible, given our July 2028 transition target date. It is going to be a challenge meeting that date without a lot of these core issues that are fundamental issues that are core to their management plan being discussed and settled on by the board. So with that, that concludes my executive director's report. I'm sorry it took a little bit longer than I normally do. Any questions?
No, but there was an item highlighted.
Yeah, that's gonna be next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No questions for me. Anyone else have questions?
This point is just a lot to think about.
Well, maybe just as clarification, because I did have a chance to ask Greg. Because Mayor Alameda is now the mayor, he becomes a member of MKSOA. Mitch Roth had delegated Doug Adams as in his position on MKSOA. So it appears, at least what I've heard, the mayor is actually gonna be the member. He's not gonna delegate.
He actually came to the meeting
Oh.
last month and
Introduce himself.
introduced himself and participated.
So 2025 is shaping up to be busy. Okay, if there are no questions about any of the material that I've covered, I would like to move into an informational update we have for you folks regarding the Halepohaku solar water heater installation project. You were provided as part of your meeting packet some background materials on this project. I'm gonna ask Rodrigo Romo, our general manager at Maunakea Shared Services, to cover the highlights of the project. It's pretty simple and straightforward, we think, but we want to make sure you folks are aware of these things. This is has been classified by us as a type A project, which means it's we consider it a minor alteration or maintenance or operational activity. So it doesn't require a permit. However, once we take it to DLNR, OCCL, if they say, no, we're gonna ask you to do a little bit more and we require a permit, then of course we'll bring the project back to you folks. So Rodrigo, you wanna summarize the project? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah,
Greg, would you be able to pull up my, I don't know why my
I'm not online, but you guys have it?
screen.
You have his. So Sarah's gonna pull it up.
All right, yeah, that'd be great. Because somehow, for some reason,
Was it slides? Yeah.
I'm not sharing. Yeah, I don't know I'm running my meeting through my browser on the Zoom app because it had not been updated and was trying to update it. So one of those IT things. So let me know when you have it up. But basically, while the screen is up, it's just a brief summary. So a couple of things going on at the same time. You're all aware of the underground storage tank removal project. That project is going to, when we take out the underground storage tank that holds the diesel that we use, it's going to have a direct impact on a couple of systems in Halepohaku. One is the diesel boiler that is used to to heat the facility, and the other one is was the diesel water heater that we used to provide hot water to the facility. Last year, October 23, the diesel water heater in the mechanical room that provided hot water for the portable hot water for the facility had a catastrophic failure. And since we had already been thinking about removing that diesel water heater in coordination with the underground storage tank removal project, we replaced it with an electric water heater, and that's how we've been providing hot water to Halepohaku. The issue is that being an electric water heater, it is a high energy consumption system. It hasn't driven our electric bill too high up just because we've done energy conservation in other areas, so we're kind of breaking even right now. But the thought came about, Anna, are you seeing my screen, the presentation right now?
No.
Yeah. We've got it.
You said
I
you
guess-
have. Okay.
And
So-
you can see it?
I can't see it. I have a black screen.
Yeah, me too. I have a black screen on my end. That's what I was asking.
That's weird.
Billy, can you see it?
I can see it very well.
I
Okay.
can see it as well.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Anyways, I'll just try to walk you through it. So the thought is to add a solar water heater system to help or offset some of the load on the electric water heater that we currently have. Sarah, if you can go to the second slide in the packet, the current system consists of an 80-gallon electric water heater tank with two 6.1 kilowatt hour elements. We have a 1,900-gallon thermally insulated water tank where we store the hot water. The water from the hot tank is circulated through the water heater and the tank, and then back to the tank, and then from that big storage tank is circulated throughout all the buildings and then back. That's where the hot water comes from. If you can go to the next slide, Sarah. The problem we have right now is, well, it's not a problem. What we're trying to do is reduce our energy costs at Halepohaku. As you all know, we have a power purchasing agreement with a company called Altus that owns the photovoltaic solar panels and on the roof of the common building, the utilities building, and the generator building. What we do is we buy from Altus all the energy that's generated by the solar system. We buy it from them at 19 cents per kilowatt hour. Obviously, during the times at night when we don't have energy storage, so we just have net metering. At night, we import power from Helco or during cloudy days, and we pay anywhere between 0.46 or 0.59 or 46 cents to 59 cents per kilowatt hour to Helco versus 19 cents to Altus. So it is much cheaper for us to buy power from Altus. Right now, the electric water heater we have is an average using about 4.3 megawatt hours per month. And so the idea behind putting a solar water system, and Sarah, if you can go to the next slide, please, is to offset some of that cost. And I know that there was a solar water system installed at Halepohaku in the early 80s when the facility was built. And from some old archive files I've found, the system apparently never worked. It was a much larger system than what we're proposing, and it was installed on that gravel parking lot that's just outside of a common building. And so the problems that old system had was, by being so large and so far removed from the mechanical room, it was susceptible to a lot of thermal losses. It lost a lot of heat at night. So a lot of the heat that it gained during the day with solar heating, it was lost through radiation. Not only that, but in order to prevent the pipes from bursting when freezing temperatures came up at night, they would have to circulate hot water through the panels at night, further losing the heat gain that had been accomplished in the daytime. So what we're proposing to do is not design and build the full system that is capable of providing the full demand for the facility, but rather to supplement the electric heater that we have. And it would consist of 2 to 3 4x8 solar panels that would be installed on the southwest corner outside of Halepohaku on an existing concrete slab. So there would be no ground disturbance required for this project. The panels would be mounted against that wall. That is a south-facing wall, so it gets full solar exposure throughout the year. The advantage of having the system installed right outside the mechanical room is obviously we reduce the pipe runs that we have to run from the solar collectors to the mechanical room inside, thus reducing the amount of heat loss that we would suffer at night. The pipes would be properly thermally insulated, and also solar collectors have advanced significantly in the last 40 years compared to when the originals were installed. They are better insulated. They are higher efficiency. So by putting these collectors there, insulating the pipes and insulating the backside of the collectors, we feel pretty confident that
She's online. Can you?
I'm sorry?
No, I'm asking Sarah to let Julie in. Julie just texted me. She's online.
Oh, so by doing all these changes and using new technology, we will avoid the problem of pipes bursting due to freezing. Control systems have advanced significantly also in the last 40 years. So one thing we can do to avoid freezing of the pipes, that we can have a control system that would circulate water through the solar collectors at night when the temperatures are going to be below freezing. And the advantage of this is that we don't necessarily have to circulate hot water through the panels. If we circulate water from the cold water side of the system, that water is at 55 to 60 degrees. That's plenty warm to prevent freezing. So we can circulate cold water through the solar panels to prevent freezing of the pipes. And then once the freezing temperature or the temperatures go above freezing, we switch the controller to open the valves back to the hot water. I believe, Sarah, if you can go to the last slide, please. Depending on how much we offset the number of hours that we run the electric water heater, we can save anywhere between $700 and $800 per month, and that would give us a payback of the system of 3 to 5 years. So we had one contractor come up there to look at the system and give us a budgetary quote of about $30,000 for the solar water system, including the collectors, the storage tank, the backup heating element, and all the piping and controls. So what we're doing right now is just bringing this over to our different internal review groups to present the project, and hopefully we can move forward before the end of this fiscal year with the implementation of the system. Sarah, you can take the slides down now, and maybe we can see each other again. There you go. That was interesting.
So once again, we're not asking for any action by a Maunakea Management Board, but if you do have input or ideas for us to consider, and you want us to consider, more than happy to take that input.
No.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rodrigo.
Thank you, Rodrigo.
I'm gonna tap out now.
Okay.
Okay, so we now move to executive session.
So I would, Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we move into executive session to consult with our attorney on questions and issues pertaining to our powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities as a board, especially as regarding our decision-making process and in our joint management role with MPSO.
Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Diana. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. We will move into executive session right now.
So for those online, you need to
Switch.
switch out to the other link for executive session.
And then we're gonna exit and then join the executive session.
no.
Original. Back to the original email. And then the other for- Yeah, should I go completely back out to the original email for the right link? This says we're in executive session. We'll return momentarily. Thank you. And my image is there. So do I just sit tight or do I check out completely and start all over? If you could advise me. Coach, coach, coach. I know if it pertains to this meeting, so I better come close and tell them. You said what he needed, and I think you, what if you see what I do? Telling me, hello, this is Dr. Billy Bergen. Yeah, and to get back into executive, go to my email and then go to the link that's on there. Okay, so we gotta check out of where we're at now. Okay. You're gonna read me the code now. It's fine.
Hold on, this is the eight five. Oh, and what do we need? We need again. Okay, sounds good. This is it.
pamphlets
Yeah.
in one of our pamphlet holders.
And then we'll
Uh,
promote everyone.
called Maunakea. And,
And now we let them in.
it basically
Some of them online
says,
go in. Okay.
Free.
place them on,
Computers,
on
iPad.
not a place for commercial enterprise, give it back.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if this has anything to do with Billy and sort of things getting, not Billy, but chemo, things getting stirred up again.
I think it probably does.
Yeah.
So he just pulled the pamphlets.
Yeah. Right, yes, they're gonna bring it back. Space for commercial, right, give it back.
So, Courtney,
Yes.
if Billy doesn't log in, you can actually email him that I'm just gonna adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Oh, okay, sounds
In
good.
case he doesn't get back on. Cause we have everyone now.
Yeah, so you have quorum.
Well, should I just go ahead and?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, we have quorum, so I am going to call the general meeting back to order. It is now 6:34. And, Greg, will you just summarize the executive session?
So, sure, Chair. So we just came out of executive session, discussed with our attorney, various issues relating to our role, as joint managers, with, the Maunakea Stewardship and Oversight Authority. No decisions were made, no actions were taken, no recommendations, are being brought forward. So it was for informational purposes only, to get some input, on some of these matters.
Okay, thank you. So next item, announcements. Our next public meeting will be on Tuesday, February 4th at 5 p.m. Greg, any other announcements?
No, but I wanted to ask Diana, how was New Zealand?
Oh, it was absolutely spectacular. I can't recommend it enough to anybody who ever thought about doing the Milford track. Before I left, I talked to Chris Ewan, and Chris had done it with his daughters some years back. And he said it's the only hike that has ever, it absolutely lives up to everything you've ever heard about it. And I can second that. It just absolutely does.
Wow.
Great, wow.
Most
Is it,
beautiful.
is that a multi-day hike?
It's on the South Island.
Yeah.
You reach the place by boat. It takes 3 days, one night to get there. You can go your own, but it's at my age, I wasn't going to do that. So New Zealand admits 90 people a day onto that hike. You can only go in one direction. It admits 40 people to go on their own with backpacks and foods, and all that whole routine. And 50 people to go with a booking service that has the contract to do it. And we chose to do that, which I would highly recommend. There are lodges, you stay at lodges and you walk the trails. It's rather difficult, but it's certainly doable. And it's just spectacularly beautiful.
Wow, wow.
Great.
The Milford Track, if you ever
Yeah, Milford.
interested in finding out more about it.
Milford Sound, right. Oh,
Milford
great.
Sound. Yeah, the trail ends at a location near Milford Sound.
Oh, okay.
So we gotta put it on the list of
I
things to
know.
do.
Yeah,
By chance, Diana, have you done Mont Blanc in
What?
Europe?
what?
Mont Blanc,
No,
or the Haute Route,
no.
which is up around Mont Blanc. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you. Great. If nobody else has any other announcement, Nahua, anything? No? Okay. Well, Happy New Year to everyone. Hau'oli makahiki and see you next month. Aloha.
Bye now.
Aloha.
You and Newton, like
I
you do that
know,
stuff.
yeah.